Come on.
Hey, and we on episode 44,
44.
which is crazy, man. What is that, 8 episodes away from 52, a year in, which is a big deal for us. You know what I mean? We preach consistency. We preach repetition. We preach discipline, and I think having a year without a break, right? A year worth of content without a break speaks to all of those things that we preach, you know what I mean? And kind of leading by example. So super excited about that. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about strengthening your self-discipline, which is a very, very important topic, right? I think your level of success will be dictated by your level of discipline, right? Like if you lack in that area, then you're naturally going to lack in a whole lot of other areas as well. So strengthening your self-discipline. Before we kick this off, as always, be sure to click the link in the bio. Links you to all of our kits on our website. Kits 1 through 43. Currently 44 is not on there, but it'll be on there shortly after we finish this episode. But be sure to check those out. And then all of our lives are listed on the Instagram page. So if you want to go back and check one of those out, greatly appreciate y'all. But without further ado, let's go and get into the content, right? So strengthening your self-discipline, doing the work, right? So putting discipline into practice. Go ahead and kick us off, Sid.
For sure. Man, I'm excited about this one. As I went through the process of kind of coming up with concepts and different ideas, one of the things that really stood out to me when it came to discipline is looking at discipline as like a skill set. Looking at it from a standpoint of something that you have to build upon, something that you have to, kind of mold and shaped. And it's similar to an athlete in preparation for a game, or a team that's preparing week by week to face an opponent, right? Like you go through practice, and through practice, what you're doing is going through these organized activities, and you have these different routines that you go through and these repeated performances and behaviors in order to contribute to a bigger cause, to contribute to a set goal or something particular that you're trying to look to obtain. And so when you put it in the context of discipline and having self-discipline, it's similar in the aspect of, day by day, you have to put discipline into action. You have to put discipline into practice. You have to consistently put discipline to work, whether it be in areas of your personal life, your professional life, your physical life, financial, so many different things that you could be doing and pursuing, but discipline has to be an active component in the midst of all of those things, right? So when you're saying putting discipline into practice, it's basically you taking the necessary actions and behaviors to consistently perform whatever it is that needs to be done to complete a task, and doing it repeatedly, doing it consistently, doing all the things that are necessary to maybe make adjustments, doing all the things that are necessary to make changes where they need to be changed. And like I said, just like the concept of being in practice, like an athlete, when you're in practice, changes are being made, certain aspects that need to be addressed are being addressed, certain things that need to be done that may have been done wrong in the past are needing to be changed up and switched up. And so it's the same thing. If we take the same approach with practicing discipline, the outcome can certainly be beneficial. It can be favorable. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing all the necessary steps to improve upon that, right? So 3 things you want to know as it relates to self-discipline. 1, discipline takes intent and it takes effort. Discipline takes intent and it takes effort. And what that means is, obviously, you have to be intentional with what you're wanting to do and what you're wanting to achieve. Like having a set goal in mind and knowing specifically why you're making this move or why you're taking this direction allows you to keep your discipline, but it also allows you to improve upon your effort because you know specifically what the target is. You're being intentional with your actions, so you're not wasting any type of movements. So you're being efficient, but then also your effort can be improved and increased along that path because you know specifically what it is that you're looking to obtain and achieve. But in addition to that, you also understand what the mission is and how you're going to get there, right? The second thing is discipline has to be worked like a muscle for it to grow. So that's basically everything that I was just saying previously. In order for your discipline to grow, you have to put it into action. You have to work it, right? Like it's like being a bodybuilder or just getting in shape or wanting to transform your body. You know, whether you want, you know, bigger chest muscles or bigger shoulders or bigger arms or a broad neck, whatever the case may be, you know, whatever suits you. In order to get to those things, you got to work those muscles, right? Like you got to start doing things that you may not have done before. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I ain't never really had no calves. You know what I'm saying? Like for some reason, my calves never really just got very muscular. So I always had to do calf raises, right? And so for anybody who may be looking to achieve something when it relates to discipline or relates to a certain area in your life, in many cases, you're going to have to do things that may be uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things that you might have not done before. You're going to have to go places that you might have not been before, but you have to work the muscle. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to see the results if you don't put in the work towards those particular areas. And then the last thing is discipline isn't a chore, but a daily choice to commit to better results, right? And so the approach to discipline has to be a certain way. Like if you look at discipline as a chore or something that you just have to do, it's going to be a challenge for you to be consistent at it because you're looking at it as something that, you know, it's like, I don't really embrace this process or I really don't have a choice type of thing.
And I think that speaks to what you said earlier, right? About being clear with your intent and what your goal is.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not clear about your intent and what your goal is, and you're just doing something, you're not going to really be motivated. It's not really going to drive you. It's not going. You're not going to be able to push through in those like challenging times, and then it does become a chore, right? And then it's like makes it that much easier to give up and quit. So making sure that you're aligned with your goals and what it is you're working towards is like extremely important because in those difficult times, you know it serves you. You know it's something that you really want that really drives you. So it'll help you and push you through.
And that aspect of it is supremely important because, like you said, what happens is when you know, and I think you use the quote with Tyson, like everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth,
Punched in the face, yeah, whatever,
punched
yeah.
in the face, right? And so when it comes to wanting to achieve something and wanting to fulfill a goal, or if you have a plan to do something, in order for that to take place, there's going to be times where it may be challenging. Like it may be difficult. Things may get hard or get uncomfortable, or things may not be going the right way, and you have to continuously, you know, take a different approach or take different steps in order to ultimately get to wherever it is that you're looking to go or achieve whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. But if you're looking at discipline as a chore, right, and not the choice to commit to better results, likely you're going to fail at whatever it is that you're doing. You're not going to stay consistent. You're not going to be driven enough to get through the terrain or get through the most challenging path of your journey because just the value or the embracing of the process to get towards better is not in you. Like the desire is not strong enough to push you towards better. And when you get to that place and when you get to that point where you're challenged and you're not making that choice to ultimately commit and make the sacrifice to move forward, that discipline is going to wear off and you're going to find yourself in a position where you're not seeing the progress, and you're not seeing the results that you're really striving for or wanted to strive for, just because of the approach that you took with discipline, right? And so, yeah, those are three things that you want to know as it relates to your self-discipline.
All right, cool. And so moving on to the next like segment of this, right? Is we're gonna get into like repetition, and then I'll outline 6 ways to build muscle memory with discipline. But before we do that, I want to just touch on like or add to what Said was saying, right? The best thing to do is to just get started, right? So like start small, like don't like practice, fail, start over. Like people very rarely get it right the first time, right? And if you're waiting on perfection and for the stars to align and everything to be perfect, then you're never gonna get started. So like it's very important to take that first step, right, and show that intent and put some effort in. And then with that being said, and I'll give an example for like working out, right? Like I know a lot of people like feel that like I'm not a personal trainer, right? So like I can't go to the gym by myself because I don't know what workouts to do, right? Like, and to me, like when I hear that, that's kind of like a cop out, because it's like, okay, there's all of these machines in the facility with pictures on them telling you how to use them. You know what I'm saying? And like if you go in there and you just start, you know, working out, like it's only gonna take you a week or two where you start realizing like, oh, okay, like I like this, I don't like this, this is targeting this, like I like this. And you can watch YouTube videos to get good form and technique and all of that. And then like, you know, it'll take some trial and error, but eventually you'll get it and you'll feel good about yourself. You know what I mean? But you got to show that intent and that effort. And like that applies to whatever it is you're trying to do. Like don't try to wait for perfection. Don't try to wait for you know, a sign of some sort, right? Like as soon as you have a thought, as soon as you have a feeling, you know, something that it is you're trying to accomplish, start,
Execute,
start immediately. You know what I mean? And again, start small. You know, it doesn't. You don't have to make these giant steps, but like just get started. And that's really what I wanted to stress and emphasize with that, right? So, so moving on with like repetition. Obviously, when it comes to like self-discipline, repetition goes hand in hand, right? Because you know if you get good at repetitive good practice. So when we talk about repetition, let's be important to touch on good behaviors, right? Because you can have negative behaviors and be repeating those, which will be negative to your progress and impede your progress, right? And take away from your self-discipline. So when we talk about repetition, we're talking about like positive things that you can implement and continuously do that can benefit you and help with your discipline, right? So as I go through this list, you'll kind of understand where we're at with this, right? So number one on it is creating a schedule and sticking to it. This is kind of obvious, right? Like if you want to be more productive, if you want to be more disciplined, if you want to get more accomplished, if you want to progress, the most effective way to do that is to create a schedule and stick to it, because then you can hold yourself accountable. And then you can look and say, okay, I need to do this on this day. I need to do this on this day. I need to do this at this time. And it's a very easy way to hold yourself accountable. So creating a schedule and sticking to it, that is the if I had to rate these in numerical order by importance, I would say that's probably the most important thing, is creating the schedule and sticking to it, right? Then next on that list is creating habits and repeating them. Now that may sound similar to a schedule, but I'll give you an example, right? A problem of mine that I was able to acknowledge is I used to lose my keys all the damn time. Like they would get in the couch, they'd be far behind the bed, they'd be behind the nightstand, fall out. Like I just never could find my damn keys. Like it was a huge problem of mine. I would lose my keys all the time. So what I implemented, a habit I implemented is as soon as I get home, literally, and it's like clockwork. Like, I just do this without even thinking about it now. As soon as I get home, I walk into my house. I got a little tray in my kitchen where I put my wallet and my keys. Boom. As soon as I get home. You know what I'm saying? And I do that every single day.
Yeah.
And that's where my keys are. And then before I leave the house, they're right there. Wallet, keys. In my pocket, going about my business. So that's what I mean about like creating habits and repeating them. So like create whatever, you know what I mean? Areas. I'm going to get into the next one, which ties into this creating habits. So next on the list is knowing where you struggle and focusing on those areas, right? So this aligns with the creating habits and repeating them, right? An area where I struggled was with my keys, right? Like that was an example that I just gave. So find areas where you struggle, right? Maybe you struggle with I see that boy Rich Love popped in. What's good, bro? But maybe you struggle with. I'm trying to think of an example, right? Eating, right? So maybe you have bad eating habits, right? So start small. Don't try to adjust your entire diet and think that you're gonna go from eating all this bullshit the next week you just finna be a vegan or some shit. You know what I mean? That's just not realistic. But start small, right? You know, pull back on only having fried food once a week or something. You know what I mean? But like start small and then build on those habits, right? So maybe you have an issue with like overspending or budgeting, right?
Right.
So start with creating a budget. You know what I mean? Like and sticking to that budget. And maybe initially you don't get too tight on yourself because you know it's a problem of yours, but over time you get real strict where you allocate X amount of dollars for X amount of things, right? Like, okay, you look back over the last few months and you see that consistently you spend, you know, $200 on gas a month. So like you go ahead and you create you a budget where you can't go over that, and say you give yourself a budget for lunch or whatever the case may be. The point is find areas that you struggle in, focus on those areas, and then create habits and repeat them over and over to get better in those areas, right?
That also helps with peak efficiency, right? And that's a term that I've heard used in training. I've heard it used in businesses. I've heard it used often, but peak efficiency and the way that you become more efficient with things that you do within your day is by creating those habits and repeating them, finding those areas where you struggle and focusing on those things. And basically what you just was referring to is creating a system, right? You have a system that you implement whenever you get home. I get home, I put my keys in here, I put my wallet in here, and I've done it so many times. I repeated this behavior so many times. This is the system that I have that allows me to be more efficient. Because what happens if you lose your keys?
Man, I done been late. Missed the appointment, whatever. You know what I mean? Like all crazy.
That. It's like, God, no, like I wasted 20 minutes looking for my keys. When you find it's like, oh damn, like I did leave them over here. You know what I'm saying? Like in the easiest place that you probably could have thought about, but when you're looking, you just everywhere.
Well, if you knew where they was at, then they wouldn't be lost, right? So
right,
exactly. No matter where they at, you know what I mean?
It's like, dang, I didn't even think to look over here, but all well. But when it comes to that efficient part, when you have a system that you implement and that you put in place, it makes things much better, right? Because you know where things are, you know where you put it at, so you can go straight to it. But when you think about time management and productivity, being efficient helps improve in those areas because you're not focusing on doing something or looking for something in a certain area. You go straight to it, get it done, then you can go hop to the next thing, right? And that's how you're able to work at an optimal level. You know what I'm saying? That's how you can get to that peak performance where you're doing things at an all-time high and you just knocking stuff out, you know what I'm saying, in the day. And I feel like just that approach in itself, just as people, you know what I'm saying? This is not just for athletes to move and to operate at peak performance, like just as regular people.
As human beings, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it goes to various, like obviously the key example was just showing creating habits, right? But like we can go further, like health, right? Like I created a system for myself working out, right? Like, for those that follow me, you know what I mean? Like y'all seen my recent post where I've lost 35 pounds since January, from 240 down to 205, right? And like that consisted of a schedule that I created for myself. And at this point, it's just natural. It's not even something that I think about. Like, I feel bad if I don't get up and go to the gym. You know what I mean? But I got a set schedule that I stick to, and it's become a habit, right? Reading. I read every night. It's a habit. You know what I mean? Like at 9 o'clock, I grab that book, I read. I feel bad if I don't do it. I feel like I'm behind, right? And then obviously me and you said, we talk about it all the time. It's almost like a healthy competition, right? Like getting ahead in books or catching up, or you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. But
absolutely.
It's a healthy habit, creating those healthy habits, right? But so the next item on the list is identify and write down clear goals. And this is super important, right? Like, I stress this all the time. Everybody got goals, right? Let me rephrase that. Everybody got dreams, right? To me, if you have a dream and no course of action to obtain it, then it's not a goal. That's not a goal. That's a dream, right? Now, you want to turn dreams to goals. And in order to do that, you need to dream big, and then you need to create goals, right? And then you can actually accomplish those things, right? And it's very important to be extremely specific when you're creating these goals, because the more specific you are, the easier it is to hold yourself accountable, right? If you're too vague with the goal, like, give an example. I could have said at the beginning of this year, I want to lose 35 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How you going to do it? What's your plan?
What's the plan?
You know what I mean? It's very easy to fall off when you don't have a plan. Now, if I said at the beginning of the year, I want to lose 35 pounds. I'm going to work out at least 5 days a week. I'm going to do cardio heavy Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm going to do weights Tuesday and Thursday. And then I'm going to take Saturdays as a rest day. And then if I'm up for it, I might play basketball on Sunday. That's a lot more detailed. That's a lot easier for me to hold myself accountable, right? So now if Monday come around and I didn't go do that cardio, like, I know I'm not following my plan. So now I'm slacking, right? Whereas if I just say at the beginning, I'm gonna lose 35 pounds, and then a week go by, I'm gonna make an excuse for myself. Like, oh, I'm gonna get started next week. Oh, I'm gonna get started, the next week, and keep pushing it off, and keep pushing it off. And procrastination is the death of progression. You know what I mean? It's the depth of productivity. You know what I'm saying? But identify and write down clear goals. It's very, very important to be clear in your goals when you're writing them down. Next on the list is visualize your desired outcome, right? So if your goal, say you're really good in the kitchen, and you're really good at baking, and you want to open up a bakery, right? And so visualize that. What does that look like? Where is that bakery located? How big is that bakery? Like, what does that menu look like? Like, what is your specialty? Like, do you have a dessert set a week or something, or dessert set a month or something? What does your website look like? What does your marketing look like? What does your logo look like? Like, start visualizing that stuff. You know, like paint that picture in your mind. Like, make it a reality, and then start writing that down, right? Identifying and writing down those clear goals, right? These two things align, and then it makes it easier to accomplish, right? Because you see it, it's there. You know what I mean? Even though it's in your mind, it feels like it's tangible. You know what I'm saying? It feels like it's real. You know what I'm saying? So visualize your desired outcomes. Also very, very important. And then last but not least is learn to tolerate discomfort, right?
That's probably that might be like 1B. I know you said the schedule was 1A. This one might be like 1B for sure.
Well, the reality is, if you do one, you're gonna have to learn. You're gonna have to do the other one, right? Yeah. Because if you are not used to having a schedule and sticking to a schedule, that's gonna be uncomfortable. That's gonna give you some discomfort. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, learning to tolerate and deal with that, right? Like, and we all have bad days. We all wake up and we don't want to do something, you know what I mean? Or we're sick and we, you know what I mean, don't feel well, or whatever the case may be. But you got to learn to work through that discomfort, right? And I think the easiest way to work through that discomfort is to make sure that your goals align with you, right? With your purpose and what you're trying to accomplish. Because if they do, right, then you know what you're doing it for. And it's easier to kind of pull yourself through, right? Because like you visualize the outcome, you know what it is you're trying to accomplish. Like you've seen it, like you've been putting the work in. So when that discomfort comes, it becomes easier to overcome it, right?
And it becomes worth it too.
You're willing to and it's worth it. And sometimes when you're first getting started out in anything, right? You don't necessarily see the fruits of your labor right away, right? Like it takes time. Like so during that time, you may feel like you're putting in a lot of work for nothing, right? And that can become uncomfortable and become like, man, I'm wasting time. Like, what am I doing? I can be doing something else, like, you know. But just staying laser focused and really by having clear goals, when you feel like that, you can actually look back at that list and see what you've actually already accomplished. And like, man, I'm closer to where I'm trying to get to where I started. Like, let me keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like it gives you that extra bit of motivation to keep going. Now, these are 6 things that we outlined to help with that muscle memory, to build muscle memory, which will help with discipline, right? And all of these things can be repeated over and over and over again, right? Like creating a schedule and sticking to it. Like your schedule is going to change over time. It's not going to be the same, right? Creating habits and repeating them. You can create new healthy habits. Like certain habits that you once had that benefited you, they may not be good for you no more. So you can create new ones. Knowing where you struggle and focusing on those areas, none of us are perfect, right? So as you progress and you learn and you fix or strengthen areas where you struggle now, you're gonna find new areas where you struggle, right? And especially as you're evolving, like if you become a business owner, wherever the case may be, you may find yourself in positions that you've never been in before, and you didn't know that this was a weakness of yours. You know what I'm saying? So now it gives you that opportunity to focus in on those areas and continue to grow, right? And then identify and write down clear goals. Goals are never static. They're never static if you're doing it right. Like you create the list, you start checking them off, and as that list starts to get smaller, you need to reevaluate and add additional items to it and keep moving. You know what I'm saying? So that's also repeated over and over and over. Visualize your desired outcome. As you're writing down those goals, visualize what those outcomes look like. That's something that you're doing over and over again, right? And then learning to tolerate discomfort. You're not necessarily learning to tolerate it over and over again, but the more once you build up a tolerance for the discomfort, as you deal with it over and over again, it becomes easier to deal with. It becomes easier to overcome, and you create, you know, certain I don't know, like patterns or certain what's the word I'm looking for?
Certain mindsets,
like mindset, or you know what I mean. Just you're in a place where once you deal with that discomfort, it just becomes easier to deal with, right? Yeah. So with all that said, what's the impact, right? So the repetition of discipline develops habits that will provide successful outcomes. As you thoughtfully repeat the same behaviors, the actions you devoted yourself to become strengthened and automatic, right? So the key here is to get to the point where that repetition just becomes second nature. You know what I mean? Like we're at this point, you don't even think about it, right? To go back to the example I gave about the keys, right? I don't even think about the keys no more. You know what I'm saying? Like I just come in and naturally just set them there. And it's, you know what I mean? It's just natural. So that's the impact and the power of repetition. And there's a saying, right? And I'm gonna quote Wayne, because Wayne said it, but repetition is the father of learning, right? The more you do something over and over and over again, the more it sticks with you, the better you understand it. And it becomes easier over time.
Absolutely. There it is.
And then, so rounding this out, finishing the set, right? How to avoid discipline fatigue. I'm gonna let you take the first 2 set. I'll take the next 2, and then we can close this thing out.
Absolutely. So, obviously, with this particular slide, it's somewhat of an, I say somewhat, it's more of like an analogy when it comes to working out, right? When you're working out and you finishing off your set, you've done about 3 sets already. On your 4th set, a lot of times you have fatigue. Your muscles are tired. You've been really going hard at it. And so in those last few sets, it can tend to be more challenging. It can be harder. But understanding how you can push through those last sets or push through those moments where it's challenging and where it's hard is what's going to get you over the top. That's where the strength comes in at, right? Because once you break the muscles down and then you start building them back up, that's how you get stronger, right? And so as it relates to discipline, how to avoid discipline fatigue, basically what we're saying is as you continue to be disciplined, how can you continue to consistently keep that discipline at a high level? How can you continuously discipline yourself to stay engaged or stay motivated to continue doing the behaviors that's taking you somewhere that you haven't been before? How do you consistently keep yourself going when the results aren't there yet, right? When you're faced with different hardships, when life kind of starts to change and transition on you and you have to pivot. So I'm gonna take the first, like I said, I'm gonna take the first 2 and then you're gonna take the last 2. So the first one is develop a set of behaviors that allow you to focus on the steps to take and not the hills you have to climb, right? So examples of that would be plan ahead by writing or typing down your tasks. So we talked about that in the previous slide, but basically with creating these particular behaviors and focusing on the steps, you know the big picture, you know what it is that you're looking to achieve, but you're focusing on the steps that are needed and that are necessary in order to get you there. A lot of times people fall into these habits and behaviors where they look at the task and the task is so big and that hill is so high for you to climb, but you have to get to a point where you're just focusing on the steps. You're focusing on things day by day. Like you're not looking at the full month all the time and what has to be accomplished. You're looking at how you can maximize the moment that you're in right now, right? Maximizing each second, each minute, each hour, you know what I'm saying, each day, and allowing that to get you to the place that you're looking to get to. So you're taking it step by step. You're taking it day by day, and you're just focusing on maximizing every moment and what specifically has to be done within those moments, right? And then the next one is develop a set of behaviors that allow you to automate parts of your life to become more efficient and more effective. And so he was just talking about that with the situation with his keys, right? In order for you to be more efficient and more effective, it's all about automation. It's all about doing something or having behaviors that are created that allow things just to be automatic. You do it without thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that you do.
Just embedded in your psyche, man.
Yeah, it's embedded in you. You know what I'm saying? It just becomes a part of who you are. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a part of your day-to-day offerings to the life that you want to live and the life that you want to lead. And when you do that, that allows you to be efficient. That allows you to be more effective. That allows you to open up yourself for new opportunities because you know that certain areas of your life are automatic. Like no one has to tell you to do something specifically. Like no one has to tell you to be at this place. You already know you got to be there, or to do this or do that. You already know it has to be done. Like you're navigating your life from a standpoint of where you're moving so freely that it almost seems effortless. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is just so seamless. And so when you get to a space where you're able to do that, like creating visual reminders, to do certain things or carry out certain tasks, that makes a significant difference on you being consistent with your discipline.
Absolutely. All right. So the next one on the list is develop a set of behaviors that allow you to get constructive criticism and endless encouragement. And like an example of that is find an individual you can frequently communicate with, right? So just develop like a system as said mentioned earlier, right? Or like a group that you can, and not even necessarily a group, maybe just one or two individuals where you can get constructive criticism from, right? Someone that you trust, right? That's
Right.
going to be honest with you and you know, not BS around, not a yes man, that can tell you if you're slacking, right? That can hold you accountable, and then also will encourage you when you're doing a good job, right? Like when you're taking care of things. Like we all can use that positive reinforcement, right? So very important. And then the next on the list is develop a set of behaviors that allow you to stay aligned with your mission and attached to the meaning. And again, just creating behaviors that align with what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? And what's like an example? Example here: daily and nightly revisits of your goals, right? But I can even get more detailed than that, right? Like if your goal is to lose weight, right? Then you need to develop a set of behaviors that align to that, right? So if your goal is to lose weight, but yet you know you're eating fast food every night, you're eating fried food every night, right? That's not a set of behaviors that are aligned with your mission. You know
Right.
what I mean? So you need to make sure that they're aligned, right? Or you're being counterproductive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like running in circles, you're chasing your tail. Like so, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, just make sure that the behaviors that you're exhibiting align to that goal, to that mission, and that's going to help you get to where you're trying to go, right?
And it got to mean something to you too.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? The results have to mean something. You know, whether it be, it means that you are able to be more active with your kids and not be fatigued, or whether it means that you're able to participate in an event that supports a cause that you're interested in, right? And I think when you attach goals to a why or to a some sort of meaning, that also keeps you engaged within the process as well too, because at that point it becomes more of an emotional attachment, right? It's not just you saying that you want to do something. It's more of I'm saying I want to do this because it means this, right? And that could be the perfect way that you can approach it. You know, when you're communicating a goal to yourself. I have a goal to lose X amount of pounds, or I have a goal to achieve whatever it is, because it means that I can do whatever. You know, it means that I can pay off my mom's debt at the end of the year, or I can pay her mortgage for the next few months, or I can put my kids through college, or pay for my daughter or my son's prom outfit, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It just has to have a meaning attached to it where it really just keeps you engaged. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you've probably seen it a lot of times too, E, how, you know, people really want to do something and they say it, they verbally communicate it, right? And you hear it, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. But then when it comes to the doing aspect of it, whether challenges are being dealt, or life just begins to take you in a whirlwind, a lot of people can't get out of that twister of emotions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't navigate and see their way through, and then they just throw in a towel or they quit. You know what I'm saying? But when it's attached to a meaning, and that goal really means something to you, and it's beyond just yourself, like the effort and the tenacity and the relentlessness that's going to go towards it is going to be different, right? Because you know what it means. It's like, nah, like I have to keep going. Like I have to discipline myself to get this done, because if I don't, it means such and such may not be able to do whatever. Or it may mean that these lights going to be off next month, if I don't get out here and make the effort to push my business, whatever the case may be, but definitely got to have a meaning to it for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And to me, the whole, goal, mission, meaning, purpose, like all of those are connected, right? Like,
Absolutely.
so when we're talking about staying aligned to your mission and then said, adds, and attached to the meaning, like all of that is connected, right? Like, so when you're aligning to your mission, it should mean a lot to you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the work that you're putting in and that end goal should have a deep meaning to you, because it should resonate with you, because it serves you. It's part of your purpose, what you're working towards. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? But I'm gonna let you go ahead and hit us with the final
Oh, for
thought.
sure.
Go ahead,
Quick and simple. Staying disciplined can be a tiring task, but it's a rewarding experience, right? Obviously, we're not machines. You know what I'm saying? Like there comes times where you get tired. You're not as motivated. Life is getting the best of you. Kids are overwhelming. Your job is working your nerves, and so it gets challenging to be disciplined. It gets challenging to be consistent, or to stay focused, or to really commit to a task, or carry out an action. And that's just a natural emotion. That's just a natural feeling. Like everybody goes through it. Like even the most successful people have moments where they may not have that extra juice in the tank or gas in the tank to push them forward. But a lot of times the experience and the rewarding of that experience means something. And it just goes back to the meaning. You know what I'm saying? It's a rewarding experience when you just are able to push through those moments where you feel the most challenge, or you're getting the most pushback, or you feel like there is no hope, or there is no opportunity for you to really get to the place and the point that you're looking to go. But you feel much more accomplished when you're able to push through that. Or when you can look back and be like, you know what? Life tried to get the best of me in that moment, but I'm proud of myself for not giving up. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of myself for finding a way and figuring it out. And now I'm here at this point because I didn't give up. Or I stayed disciplined. I committed to my purpose. I stayed aligned with the mission. I attached the meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? I did all the steps. I took all the necessary actions to get here. And now I'm satisfied with the result. And it felt so damn good that I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna repeat the behavior. You know what I'm saying? Just how we was talking about repetition. I'm gonna repeat the behavior, and I'm gonna do it again because I know that there's more to accomplish for me. You know what I'm saying? So, final thought.
Hey, no, absolutely, man. And I agree with it all. But very, very good topic, very important topic. Self-discipline, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, is really paramount, right? It's like the most important, one of the most important things when it comes to your success, right? And your efficiency, and all of those things, right? Because it takes discipline. And if you can't put the work in and be consistent, and consistency comes from discipline, right? And if you can't do those things, then you're gonna stifle your progress. Period, point blank. But as always, we greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in, listening to the episode. Everybody who comes back and watch the lives, we appreciate y'all as well. As always, click the link in the bio. Links to all of our kits, 1 through 43. 44 will be up shortly. And almost at 52, which is a big deal for us, man. We're super excited. Got some merch coming in the next month, so it'll be here before the holidays, which is, we're excited about that as well. Website will be launching as well.
Website coming soon. 2
But
websites coming soon.
well, we got a website technically where the kits is hosted, but y'all have an actual legit website where y'all can go and visit and check us out. So with all that said, if you don't do nothing else, keep it thorough. And we'll holler at y'all next week, man. Deuces.
Yes, sir.